Mine memory doth recall the eve when the mirage did at last break asunder, the eve when the gentle golden lamps in our humble kitchen could no longer cloak the imbalance of the scales. Mine progenitors, Richard and Linda Cooper, did oft proclaim their affection for my sister Jessica and me in equal measure, yet the ledger of their coin revealed a more silent and unyielding verity. From the hour that college applications took on substance, the funds for tuition did stream solely toward Jessica's resplendent destiny at Green Ridge University, whilst I, Emily, was bid that a clever maid could ever find a way to adapt. They did hold steadfast belief that I would unravel some solution forthwith. Yet I did embark upon that path, yet the reckoning bore the weight of laborious weeks, where humble noodles transformed into fare of necessity, and a silence did thicken with each passing term. In days of yore, I did affix a missive upon the inner portal of my wardrobe, heralding the break of day. It didst become my herald when the dormitory lay in silence, and the station of the airwaves did await my toil. Amidst the toil of peddling nocturnal advertisements and imparting wisdom in the realm of calculus to fledgling scholars, I hath woven a tapestry of scholarships, snug enough to mend nearly every breach. From remnants of yesternight's feast and grains amassed in plenty, sustenance was wrought, warmed upon a forbidden hearth. Upon fortunate eves, slumber did endure but 4 fleeting hours. Jessica, in the meantime, didst converse through the enchanted glass from lofty symphony balconies and sun-kissed shores of spring's reprieve, her finely adorned fingers encircled by the vibrant bands of festival revelry. College, a toil most arduous, she would lament, whilst the ocean danced in shimmering hues behind her. Our discourse upon the telephone did possess a cadence most rehearsed. Mother would inquire of Jessica regarding her lectures, and Jessica, in her embellishment, would amplify the professor's commendations, whilst father would resonate with prideful hums. Then would they turn their gaze upon me. Prithee, dost thou still find favour with those grants, perchance? We did foresee thy spirit of independence would flourish so. With great fervour, I did recount the novel theorems I had unveiled in the realm of discrete mathematics, and the scholarly papers to which I lent my hand as co-author. Yet, I perceived their smiles, courteous and fleeting, as they hastened to indulge in Jessica's latest tale of her marketing club's grand soirée, where champagne flowed like the rivers of old. The calls did conclude, leaving me gazing upon the vacant screen, pondering if the essence of independence might bear wounds unseen. Lo! The first fissure did appear a term ere the final year, yet none did perceive it. Fair Jessica, forsooth, hath met with misfortune in the realm of macroeconomics, a tale she doth conceal beneath the artifice of Instagram's filters. Greenridge hath placed her upon the threshold of academic probation, yet such probation may be concealed, much like a rash doth lie beneath the finery of designer sleeves. She didst require 12 credits that summer to ascend once more above the threshold of her GPA. She didst send to mother a forged receipt of registration, and thereafter employed the refund to secure a dwelling by the shores of Emerald Isle. It was but by chance that I didst learn of it, when a common acquaintance didst mark her presence upon a balcony, clutching a vibrant chalice, grander than her visage. Whilst fair Jessica did toast the setting sun, I did seclude myself within the engineering chamber, imparting knowledge unto a neural network to discern the nascent fissures in the mighty pylons of the bridge. The endeavor did claim the foremost accolade at the Midwest Research Colloquium, and the esteemed faculty sponsor, Professor Patel, didst surreptitiously place a missive within my satchel. Thy steadfast toil doth serve as the silent force of advancement. I didst keep that missive beside the post-it, 2 diminutive banners for those morns when weariness didst feel akin to drowning. In the twilight of my scholarly pursuits, the final year didst meld into a tapestry woven with the threads of interviews for internships, the scrutiny of code, and deadlines that seemed nigh insurmountable. Fair Jessica didst share images from lofty taverns, adorned with musings of Nietzsche, whose words she had not perused. Mine mother hath sent forth another coin for mine education, grumbling that Greenridge doth continually raise its fees, yet her pride doth triumph over her doubts. Verily, Jessica did speak with fervour of a capstone most intensive, whose jargon did confound them so, that its very essence was shrouded in naught but illusion. I spake but little. Lo, I hath uncovered that silence may serve as a crucible. Lo, the week of commencement didst arrive, heralded by the gentle April rain, which left the hallowed grounds imbued with the fragrance of damp stone and blooming lilac. Mine father didst send an electronic missive to the dean, beseeching for seats of honor, invoking the esteemed status of Jessica, who is said to possess the laurel of summa cum laude. The assistant to the dean didst reply with words most unclear, vowing to peruse the list anon. Amidst the tumult of final reckonings, vastness appeared but a commonplace sight. In the interim I, the humble scholar of fortune, did receive an epistle which I perused thrice, to grasp its veracity. Upon the occasion, it was decreed that I should be bestowed with the Chancellor's Medal for Academic Resilience, a revelation to be made with sudden flourish amidst the ceremony's grandeur. On the eve of our grand commencement, I espied fair Jessica in the shadowed lot behind the edifice of art, perched upon the hood of a borrowed chariot, her mascara cascading in dark rivulets. She didst grasp a missive, marked with the seal of her academic undoing. With tears that fell like gentle rain, she confided in me, her voice trembling with each hiccup, that she had been cast out in the cold month of January, yet dared not confront the tempest that would follow. Perchance they would grant me leave to stroll, she did whisper. In my mind, I fancied that if I feigned my way through the hours, her device would continue to tremble with missives from fair Amber concerning a revelry yet to unfold. Alas, it appeared that shame yet lingered in the realm of negotiation. With the dawn's arrival, a radiant beam did grace the world. In ordered ranks, the folding chairs did grace the quad, whilst learned faculty, adorned in vibrant regalia, did weave a flowing river down the aisle. Upon my mother's head, a hat adorned with a ribbon of purest white did rest. Lo! The necktie of my father didst harmonize with the hues of the Academy. They didst wave at the vacant seat of fair Jessica, believing her to be in yonder backstage, amidst the esteemed scholars of honor. In yonder rear, I found myself amidst fellow scholars of the engineering craft, my cap askew, for the bobby pins had betrayed their duty and snapped asunder. My name was not inscribed within the program's scroll. Those of humble means, who doth pursue the light of knowledge, seldom do they boast of their humble abodes. In the midst of the solemn rite, the dean didst halt, perusing a disparate parchment, and with a furrowed brow didst address the assembly through the speaking device, a look of perplexity upon his visage. We do humbly wish to declare that a candidate once inscribed upon our list, fair Jessica Cooper, doth lack the eligibility for graduation. The utterance did glide o'er the assembly, akin to an unforeseen eclipse. With haste, the gloved hand of mother did ascend to her lips. Lo! The visage of my father did pale, as if the very freckles upon his skin had lost their vibrant hue. A whisper did traverse the gathering of parents, a creature born of collective unease. Ere the shock could fully take its leave, the Chancellor did step forth and proclaim, "Yet excellence doth endure in hushed abodes. Pray, let us bestow our commendations upon the esteemed engineering senior, Emily Cooper, who hath been honored with the Chancellor's Medal for her remarkable fortitude in academia." Lo! The gasp hath turned its course, akin to the shifting winds upon the vast ocean's embrace. Upon the path I didst tread, the aisle I traversed. She doth rap upon the timber, her knees a-quiver with fervent anticipation. A medallion of gold did rest upon my robe, weighted as the sweet balm of vindication. The clapping did commence with timorousness, yet soon swelled to a mighty roar, perchance for the throng sought a redemptive cadence, or mayhap for victory doth spread like a contagion when it cometh unlooked for. Upon mine eyes, I did not gaze upon my progenitors forthwith. Lo, I did fear that wrath would taint the sweet savour of victory. Upon the stage, the Chancellor did softly utter, "Thy record is most extraordinary. Lift thine head aloft." I didst nod, swallowing the weight of years unspoken. When the anthem did resound and hats did soar, I at last did turn. Her mother's cheeks bore the marks of mascara's weeping trails. His father's shoulders did sag, as though they bore witness to a grievous defect in the very edifice of his honor. They did approach me, traversing past fair Jessica, who emerged from yonder platform, her robe grasped as though a garb devoid of purpose. By yon stone fountain did we chance to meet, where graduates, in tradition's gentle embrace, inscribe their names with chalk upon its surface. Mother didst part her lips, then sealed them once more, only to part them again. Why didst thou not impart this knowledge unto us? She did prevail, yet I could not discern whether the inquiry did allude to Jessica's falsehood or to my triumph. Jessica gazed upon the earth, her toes burrowing deep as though she were a contrite youth, seeking solace in the soil beneath her. I didst draw breath and opted for precision o'er accusation. Forsooth, each time I endeavored, thou wert already bestowing thy applause upon Jessica's subsequent performance, I did declare. The words did linger, weighty and inescapable. Father didst extend his hand towards the missive of dismissal, tightly clenched within Jessica's grasp. He perused the text, his lips whispering the legal terms, then cast his gaze upon her as if she were a distant kinswoman, unknown and strange. "Pray tell, where dost thou keep the coin?" he inquired. Jessica didst shake her head, her tresses flailing like a shattered metronome. "Departed. Lease, revelries, finery of little worth." In my mind, I did ponder, that I might mend the flaw ere any I did catch its sight. Mine mother did emit a soft sound, a mingling of weeping and contrition. Many dost believe the climax to be the thunderous applause or the grand reveal, yet in truth, it doth unfold in a silent moment when power doth find its rightful balance. Forsooth, it was in that fleeting moment I discerned their discontent with fair Jessica no longer cast a shadow upon my being. Mine voice could rise and find its audience. With a flourish, I did unfasten the Chancellor's medal from about my neck, presenting it forthwith, held aloft to meet their gaze. "This doth not belong solely to me," I did proclaim. "It doth belong to each late shift, each repast forsaken, each missive from the faculty thou never didst request to behold. With naught but mine own toil, I did earn it, devoid of a single coin from the family coffers." Lo! Jessica did burst forth, her wrath unshackled, breaking the bonds of shame that held her fast. "What mattereth it? Lo! Emily doth wear the mantle of perfection, whilst I am cast as the villain," she did exclaim with fervor. Heads did turn. She did possess a deft hand in seizing the light of the stage. With a visage serene, I did confront her. "In truth, I am but a flawed creature. Mine eyes grow weary. Yet weary doth not equate to shattered." The utterance did quell her tongue as surely as any dean might do. Mother did advance, her gaze all aglow with tears. "We have failed thee," she did softly utter. "We did believe our investments were wrought with wisdom. We did forget, alas, that love doth not dwell within the confines of a ledger." For a fleeting moment, the child within me yearned to embrace that apology, to feign that the cruel calculus of preference had ne'er been wrought. Yet the stage of adulthood doth bear more constricted acts. "I do pardon the folly of thine inquiry, yet cannot absolve the disdain of thine neglect. Forgiveness, like the gentle light of dawn, is a treasure bestowed through worthy deeds." That eve, the family chariot did return to the inn, shrouded in a most oppressive silence. Upon my feet I did tread, with metal nestled in my pocket, and shoes dangling from a single finger, as the campus did shimmer in the golden embrace of the setting sun. Professor Patel, with keen eye, did espy me by the steps of the library, and did insist upon a celebratory cup of coffee. He did discourse upon a funded Ph.D. position, expounding how resilience, when wedded to talent, doth form the rarest of alloys. Upon mine ears did fall the sound of hope, which now did ring more clear than the echoes of past sorrows. 2 fortnights hence, whilst Jessica embarked upon her requisite counsel and sought redress from the halls of community learning, I did take my leave upon a flight bound for Seattle, to partake in an internship at a nascent enterprise of structural engineering. In the terminal, I didst compose a lengthy missive to mine parents, expounding upon grants, job offers, and the budget I had meticulously crafted. I did conclude with a plea that they bestow upon their own future the remnants of their collegiate funds, investing them in the sanctuary of their own retirement. "Lo, I am shrouded," I did inscribe. "Hark, attend to thine own well-being henceforth." I didst strike the send before uncertainty could mount its case. Upon the dawn of my inaugural day at this new employment, the post-it, alongside the missive from Professor Patel, found their place upon a pristine corkboard, perched above a desk shared by many. The casements did gaze upon Elliott Bay, where the morn's light did dance like freshly minted coin. Upon the pane I laid my hand, feeling the chill of hope's ascent, and came to grasp that justice is not a birthright bestowed. Lo, 'tis a structure thou dost craft with thine own hands, timber by timber. Until such time as those who once questioned the design do find themselves within its embrace, and at last declare it their abode. The very roots of this imbalance didst delve far deeper than mere invoices of tuition. Upon reflection, I can trace the thread back to the second year of learning, to that fateful Wednesday when fair Jessica did return, bearing the painted pony that claimed a ribbon at the county fair. Father didst frame it above the hearth, that guests might gaze upon her deft brushstrokes ere inhaling the sweet aroma of mother's apple pie. A fortnight hence, I returned to mine abode, bearing a certificate of merit from the Fair of Science, for the construction of an anemometer wrought from Lego and humble spoons of plastic. Mine accolade hath found its resting place within the confines of a desk drawer. Oft doth recognition elude the eye, when silence reigns and pride doth bellow with intent. In the span, twixt those youthful displays and the dawn of maturity, Jessica did seize discourse as goldfish do, filling each vessel into which they are cast. At the evening repast, she did weave tales of the corridor, transforming stillness into moments of suspense, imploring inquiries from her progenitors. With silent breath, I did consume the pasta, nodding in time with the rhythm, whilst I tucked away my tales for tomes that none would peruse. In the years that followed, whilst I didst catalogue the samples of the lab at the break of day, I found myself engaging in the same silent nods, and I would chuckle at how the rehearsal of life doth commence so early. In the halls of learning, perchance the scales of equity might have been righted, for figures, unlike progenitors, do not show preference. Yet, though my GPA did surpass fair Jessica's by a full decimal, the breath of life still did flow toward her in abundance. Mother did proclaim that institutions of higher learning do cherish those of diverse character, her gentle phrase for the radiant allure of fair Jessica's thespian pursuits. In the interim, the wise counselors of guidance did observe my fervent passion for the contests of robotics and my unbidden offerings of scholarly pursuits, and with gentle smiles they regarded me, akin to the institutional echo of a tender blessing upon my heart. At times, I pondered if fair Jessica discerned the slant, or if she merely held the notion of entitlement as the very force of gravity itself. In a time of festivity, as the eve of our final dance approached, she did beseech me for the use of my debit card, to procure a pair of earrings most exquisite, for her own purse was in a state of tumult. Upon the third day hence, I didst discover the card, nestled beneath the seat of her suitor's chariot, accompanied by a vessel once filled with chilled coffee and a summons for parking amiss. Upon my confrontation, she did laugh, bestowing a gentle kiss upon my brow, and vowed to recompense me when she ascended to the heights of marketing renown. The debt didst linger in the realm of mere theory. Perchance, such words may echo with a tinge of bitterness. Perchance it is so. Yet, lo, bitterness doth serve as but the fossilized testament of desires unfulfilled. When the missives from Greenwich admissions didst arrive, I had sculpted mine hope into a form more diminutive and easily borne. To thrive upon the bounty of scholarships, to hasten the journey to graduation, and to shun the shackles of debt. Within the orientation packet, there lay a stirring phrase, proclaiming that family doth serve as the zephyr beneath one's wings. With quill in hand, I did transcribe the phrase into a tome, and beside it, I did render a fan, marked henceforth as self-generated airflow. In mine inaugural year, I did conquer the art of navigating the unseen plight of poverty. Upon mine own inquiry, I did uncover the vending machines that falter on Fridays, and the study lounges that ne'er do empty their bowls of snacks. Upon my discovery, I found that the guardians of the campus did turn a blind eye to those students who bore pizza boxes in the witching hour, for they presumed us to be mere purveyors of sustenance. Within the confines of a borrowed box from Domino's, I did once clandestinely convey a fortnight's worth of provisions from the pantry of sustenance. The slights I bore were bearable, for I held fast to the hope that they were but fleeting, a mere pause upon the journey to true merit and justice. As fair Jessica did twirl and sway amidst the merry brethren, I did engage in a dance most intricate with the numbers and figures. Mine weekends were devoted to the hallowed halls of research, where we didst entice delicate circuits to unveil the hidden microfractures within the mighty overpasses of the freeway. At times, the flickering lights of fluorescence doth extinguish at the hour of 3, compelling me to flail mine arms like a lost wanderer, in hopes of rousing the slumbering motion sensors from their repose. Those hours I did cherish dearly. In truth, they were sincere, as seldom are the dialogues of daylight. Circuits did either conduct their charge, or they did not, as fate would decree. Equations, they dost balance, or else they did forewarn thee of their impending fall. Jessica and I did still partake in festive repasts, yet the chasm betwixt our seats did seem as vast as the very earth itself. She didst recount the whispers of the dorm, breathless with fervor, thou shalt not believe who did entwine with the TA after the econ midterm. I did discourse upon the measure of uncertainty in the prophecies of Abridge's enduring life. Father did replenish her chalice of wine, and did counsel me against the folly of being such a twaller in the fields of labor. Mine own mother did forewarn that none doth employ those who ponder upon the probabilities of failure whilst partaking in sweet repast. Though they may have spoken true, yet here I stand, gainfully engaged by a fledgling enterprise that doth chart the probabilities of failure for mine own livelihood. In yonder semester, fair Jessica did find herself upon the precipice of probation. In the stillness of the night, I did tend to the noble transmitter of our campus radio, laboring through the somber hours of the graveyard shift. At the hour of 2:17 past the midnight's veil. Upon the morn of Tuesday, a call didst reach mine ears, a collect summons from a county jail, distant by 90 miles. Fair Jessica found herself in the clutches of the law, apprehended for her inebriated state, as a revelrous fray from a festooned gathering did spill forth upon the thoroughfare of Main Street. Upon hailing a carriage to the station, I did settle her bail with the emergency credit card my mother didst keep for me, and thus I journeyed homeward in solemn silence. She did repose against the casement, in gentle slumber. Mascara hath left twin smudges upon the glass, akin to quotation marks encircling an unvoiced apology. When the missive of dismissal did at last arrive in the cold month of January, in the twilight of her senior year, fair Jessica did call, her voice a lamentation, weeping bitterly. With haste, I made my way to her chamber, anticipating a display of remorse. Instead, she didst craft a scheme of restoration, demanding falsified records and the tempering of hopes, her delicate phrase for deceiving with such finesse as to stride forth at the commencement. I didst refuse. We did contend, till break of day. She did lay upon me the charge of unyielding virtue. I did lay blame upon her for seizing trust as if it were a captive. Neither did we shed a tear. Weariness hath sapped the very tears long ere this moment. In the months that did ensue, she did weave her masquerade with the craft of a cunning knave, dispatching false tuition scrolls, conjuring coarse descriptions of her own design, and procuring a bespoke robe, tailored by the artisans of the theatre, for the campus purveyor demanded proof of scholarly standing. The grand design ought to have faltered beneath its own burden, yet the unwavering faith of my progenitors in Jessica's destined ascent proved a steadfast foundation. They upheld it as beams do a roof, oblivious to the decay that lurked within. In the interim, mine own existence did quicken with haste. In fair Chicago, I did present a discourse upon the noble art of adaptive load redistribution in the grand structures of suspension bridges. Upon the journey back, a learned postdoc hailing from the esteemed halls of MIT inquired whether I had pondered the pursuit of graduate studies. I did confess, alas, that I was bereft of funds. He did laugh and spake, "Funding doth pursue published thoughts as bees do follow nectar's sweet allure." The metaphor didst hum within my mind for weeks hence, more resounding than mine sister's tribulations. In moments of reverie, I have often visioned a realm divergent, where father bestowed his treasures upon both daughters with equal measure. Perchance Jessica would have known less weight upon her shoulders to conjure wonders, and I would have felt less driven to amass clandestine triumphs. Perchance we would have reclined upon the verdant expanse of the campus lawn, partaking of fries and exchanging whispers regarding our learned instructors, rather than vying for the scarce attentions of our progenitors. Yet memory doth serve as a canvas, devoid of any means to erase its strokes. Thou may annotate the frames, yet never shall they be deleted. Upon the twilight of our commencement, when fair Jessica did lay bare her heart, I bestowed upon her my humble couch and the quietude of my presence. She didst reject both offers. She did declare, with a heart both heavy and light, that one last revelry awaited her, and thereafter she would seek the path to clarity. As she didst depart, her heels didst echo upon the dampened stone, I came to perceive that guilt seldom doth outpace the chains of habit. Once more did the rain commence, a slender and unyielding torrent, the sort that doth penetrate both humble umbrellas and the very fabric of our similes. The very ceremony hath been replayed in the realm of the internet 1,000-fold, forsooth, as one among the audience did live-stream the event, and thus the moving picture did gain great renown upon lesser social media platforms dedicated to the art of retribution. Upon the stage of discourse, strangers did engage in fervent debate, pondering whether the favor bestowed by parents doth nurture a sense of entitlement, or if the tragic fate of fair Jessica doth reveal the vital need for a love most stern. Once I did peruse the comments, I did shut the browser's portal, and ne'er did I open it again. Such catharsis, weighed by the fickle hand of likes, doth seem but a hollow semblance. Upon my departure for fair Seattle, my mother did commence a weekly missive, delivered through the ether. The missives didst waver in their inception, a collection of forecasts and culinary missives, as if the mundane might mend the fissures that lay bare. I did respond with brief tidings concerning the simulations of structural integrity and the delightful savor of fresh Sierra. In the month of July, she did compose a lengthier missive, confessing that they had pledged a portion of their abode to secure the funds for Jessica's education, and were now engaged in discourse with the university for the hope of partial restitution. The revelation ought to have pierced my heart with greater anguish, yet I found myself merely possessed by an engineer's wonder at how swiftly figures can undermine the very bedrock of our existence. Seattle didst expand the bounds of both the tangible and the ethereal. The Office of Internships did reside upon the 12th floor of a repurposed cannery, where, each afternoon, aspirations did flit about the windows like lively punctuation in motion. Upon joining a noble assembly tasked with the vigilant oversight of stress upon floating bridges, I found myself entwined in an intricate conundrum, where the art of engineering did entwine with the craft of software, the delicate dance of sensor arrays, and the capricious nature of the tides. The toil of the day did extend into twilight, perfumed with the essence of espresso and the brine of the sea, yet weariness bore a novel hue when it was the fruit of a life wrought by one's own hand. In the waning days of August, I took to the skies, returning to my abode for but a fleeting weekend, for my dear mother did beseech us to gather in the presence of a financial sage. The gathering did transpire within the very kitchen where Jessica's equine portrait did reign, albeit the frame now bore a patina of modesty, accrued o'er the span of 2 decades. Figures did supplant conjectures, the sum they had disbursed, the debt they bore, the toll that future repose would demand. I didst thrust the ledger forth unto Jessica. Text, thy turn, I did proclaim. With a breath drawn deep, she didst unveil her laptop, conjuring forth a ledger of anticipated gains from her ventures in part-time catering and the tending of hounds. The sage did incline his head in assent. Lo, accountability, it doth reveal, can be enumerated with care. That gathering didst herald the inaugural occasion upon which Jessica and I did join forces in endeavors transcending the realm of genetics. We did compose a plan for repayment, one that would extend over 5 years, presuming she might harmonize the burdens of community college tuition with the labors of part-time toil. With trembling hands, yet eyes that shone with clarity, father did inscribe the plan. Mine mother hath prepared a surfeit of victuals and doth insist that all partake of the remnants. The air bore the flavor of accountability, a substance more arid than forgiveness, yet in the end, far more sustaining. To Seattle I did return, not as one unburdened by the weight of yore, but rather as one who hath weighed and apportioned the shadows of what once was. In the month of October, the fledgling enterprise did extend unto me a full-time role and a share of its nascent fortune. Upon the half-formed pier I did stand, tablet clasped within my grasp, as the sun did flare upon the shimmering waters, when lo! An email did arrive. Upon the parchment of memory I recalled the missive of sticky hue, and with the break of day I discerned that the morn had blossomed into a full span of hours. Upon the day of Thanksgiving, fair Jessica did dispatch a likeness captured in time. She didst lend her hand to Habitat for Humanity, with hammer aloft, a smile both bashful and true upon her visage. Upon the visage she inscribed, "Beams do not cast judgment upon the hand that wields the hammer, they merely endure." Upon my chamber's wall I did affix the missive, alongside the Medal of Honor, beside the esteemed Professor Patel's epistle, and near a fresh postcard that proclaimed, "Justice is an edifice we construct in unison." Thus, the tale doth not conclude with either acclaim or disgrace. It doth conclude, or perchance persist, with souls acquiring the arithmetic of compassion, recalibrating burdens, and bestowing aid upon the beams that no longer exalt the most resplendent arch low. I rise ere the sun doth grace the morn, and in hushed tones I repeat the sacred words of my own endeavor. Yet now, in fleeting fancy, I conjure a second fan, its blades whirling in harmonious dance, crafting a shared zephyr potent enough to elevate more than a solitary pair of wings. The dwelling in Seattle doth gaze towards the east, whereupon the morn doth spill its golden light through windows that stretch from floor to ceiling, casting mathematical musings upon the hardwood floor. With fervent zeal, I pursue the golden rays, inscribing upon the butcher's parchment, free-body diagrams that dance upon the wall. Upon the table, notes do sprawl, entwined with grocery lists and verses yet uncompleted. At first, the guests perceive the display as a tumultuous array, yet soon their discerning eyes behold the underlying pattern that doth emerge. Each technical sketch doth find its equal in a line of verse. Creativity, I have come to know, doth also possess a form most structured. And resilience, it beareth the weight of burdens most profound. On Friday eves, when I depart from the scribe's desk, I embark upon the ferry to Bainbridge Isle, where I stand at the balustrade and allow the tremors of the engine to evoke within me the learned verses of harmonic resonance. Water and steel do hum at diverse frequencies, yet in harmonious tension they do coexist with grace. Mine thoughts do dwell upon fair Jessica, who doth attend the evening's learned classes, upon mother, who with nimble fingers doth crochet blankets now sold in the vast realm of the internet, and upon father, who selflessly doth lend his hand at the tool library of habitat. Though we do still vibrate upon diverse chords, the discord hath ceased to pose a perilous fall. In the month past, I found myself summoned once more to the fair realm of Greenwich, to impart knowledge as a guest lecturer. As I strolled by the verdant quad, I didst halt at the stony fountain, a place where once I did face mine own kin. Newly inscribed names in chalk adorned the basin, graduates, lovers, and activists alike. In a humble nook, I inscribed mine initials, then didst sketch a modest anemometer beside them. Lo, the Zephyr hath been mine inaugural endeavor. Within the hallowed confines of the lecture hall, I did expound upon the nature of adaptive infrastructure, concluding with a slide that proclaimed, "Support is a verb." Upon the dais did students gather in throngs, their minds aflame with inquiries not only of perseverance but also of the noble art of physics. Ere I took my leave, I didst pause at the hallowed halls of the campus radio studio. It bore the scent of aged foam and lofty aspirations. The present keeper of the night, a novice brimming with restless zeal, inquired as to the purpose of my sojourn. Forsooth, stations dost serve as bridges, I did proclaim, bearing forth voices o'er the abyss of darkness. He did laugh, though his understanding was but partial, yet he vowed to keep the transmitter in warmth's embrace. Upon the journey's return, the heavens did conspire, and turbulence did shake the vessel's frame. A wayward soul did grasp the arm of yonder seat, and in hushed tones did offer a prayer unto the heavens. I did expound upon the vectors of ascent and the gentle harmonies, until the vessel found its steady course upon the heavens. He inquired whether I bore the title of engineer. Indeed, I did respond, yet I am also a sister, a daughter, and a resilient soul, weathering the storms of unjust allocations. He didst chuckle, then succumb to slumber, placing his trust in the wings and, perchance unwittingly, in those who reckon their margins of safety. When the clouds did part, the lights of the city did weave a lattice of possibility beneath our gaze. Upon the glass I laid my brow, and whispered forth the word home, no longer a steadfast point upon the map, but a web of solace, ever capable of stretching forth in myriad directions, if the beams be true and the architects bold. Lo, the dawn doth rise once more.